Yes, please go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Joydeep Chatterjee, the Vice Dean and Director of the undergraduate programs at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, and also your MC for the evening. We thank you so much for taking this time out and joining us. Choosing which college to attend is always a daunting task. It is even more so this year due to the pandemic and the impositions it has placed on us. But to alleviate this pain a bit and to help you, that is, students and parents, to make informed choices, we at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture have put together this little open house, which can be thought of as a one-stop place for all the information you need. So please sit back, take your notes, and enjoy. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. We have a question and answer session at the end where we shall take these up. To formally begin the proceedings, I would like to call upon our Dean, Thomas Michael, to please take the floor. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Jaideep. I'll start off with a quick introduction and then we'll go back to Jaideep. I have a background in architecture. I have 4 degrees in architecture, all from the United States. But I'm also an international person. I've been an international faculty for decades, having adjunct visiting positions, endowed chairs and such in the US, in Chicago, New York, Canada, Australia, Auckland, New Zealand, Vienna, Shanghai, Brussels, visiting fellow at London School of Economics and visiting teacher at the AA in London. I've taught architectural history, urban morphology, media philosophy, design research, international studies, and even religious studies in different institutions around the world. And I currently supervise a few PhDs in different countries working across disciplines as well. I've been fortunate to be in India now for a little less than 2 years, and I feel like I'm both living locally, but also living globally. And I always tell students too, with a good education, you can go everywhere and you get called upon to act increasingly globally too, which is one of the strengths, I think, of Jindal Global University. Architecture has an advanced spatial logic. It encodes values. It produces effects beyond its limits. And these are baselines, I think, for what's happening in architecture today. It's not simply about real estate or making commodities, but thinking about the long-term effects and consequences and different spheres of influence that come through the process of shaping the environment. Today, the top architecture schools are moving into some fascinating technologies, everything from artificial intelligence to indigenous knowledge systems, automation and robotics, but increasingly nowadays, healthcare, wellness, even issues like neurodiversity are figuring into the formation of space and the meaning of production of values in space. As architecture as a discipline reorients itself from past practices towards future environments, even things like biodesign are coming into play. And I've had students design skyscrapers that sweat and move and can blink and things. Architecture is oriented, I think, towards future societies. We live in the present, but are constantly anticipating the future and drawing it closer to us. And we also have an ethical obligation to think about not just the future in terms of finances or in terms of ecologies, but also questions of exteriority, inclusion, and the future alterity of the users to come. Architecture, I think, also needs to return as an intellectual project. The interlocking crises we are facing today require us to have a new type of questioning. And this new type of questioning requires curiosity, probably the most valuable skill you can bring to your architectural education trajectory. Architecture amplifies multiple skills in multiple modes, and we will encourage you, if you study architecture in the related design fields, to emphasize empathy, storytelling, pattern recognition, and the ability to persuade people. So these are the soft skills that actually are the leadership skills and design skills you will develop. Today presents us with a lot of multiple urgencies too, as you will be aware. We have new situations we've never faced before, and these are new opportunities. We're operating in some new field conditions. We are developing new types of transdisciplinary intelligences. We are immersing ourselves in new ecologies and forming new subjectivities. And I would like to finish with a statement from one of my favorite process philosophers. Philosophy begins in wonder. And at the end, when your studies have done all the best they can, wonder remains. And I think this is the amazing part about architecture schools. They're great big dream machines. And I'll wrap it up there and back to Jaideep.
Thank you, Tom. We are indeed fortunate to have you there. And I think the ideas of forward-looking are extremely, extremely important to us as a school. Next up, I would like to invite the founding Vice Chancellor of JGU to please deliver the keynote address. While Raj himself needs no introduction, what does need saying is that in our Vice Chancellor, we have one of the greatest champions of the JSAA. This is very, very important because let me tell you As architects and designers, we are always going to him with all kinds of crazy requests. And thankfully, our Raj always backs us up and we don't have to face any problems. So thank you, Raj. Over to you.
Very good evening to all of you. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who are aspiring students of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, those who may be interested in the study of B.Arch, or for that matter, the BA Honours in Built Environment Studies, or for that matter, the Bachelor of Design, BDES in Interior Design. Pretty much all the three different program aspirants, I believe, are part of this discussion. I also want to extend a warm welcome to the parents of all the students who may be present here, also being part of this forum. Now, it's a very special moment for us at OP Jindal Global University to host this event for a number of reasons. First of all, the Jindal School of Art and Architecture is a very special school within the university. Almost all the other 8 schools that we have in the fields of law, business, international affairs, public policy, liberal arts, journalism, banking and finance, and environment and sustainability are kind of uniquely situated from the standpoint of where the Jindal School of Art and Architecture has developed its own pedagogy. In some ways, as a non-STEM, non-medicine university that JGU has been since its founding, the Jindal School of Art and Architecture is the closest we have as an institution gone when it comes to looking at a different type of imagination. In some ways, this was part of an effort to create a unique school in India that transcends the historical and probably even other experiences of creating schools of architecture. As many of you know, most schools of architecture in India are standalone institutions, even some of the leading ones. But then we all felt that there is something to be said about being part of a larger university, and that's what OP Jindal Global University is. I am not an architect, although over the years, being part of the effort to build this university, both in terms of its intellectual imagination, but also its physical spaces, I have realized how important architecture is. As Norman Foster famously observed, and I quote, "As an architect, you design for the present with an awareness of the past for a future which is essentially unknown." One cannot underestimate the importance of architecture, not only as a discipline, but also its extraordinary impact on the future of all kinds of spaces that we end up creating. Now, of course, this is also a very special moment for all the students who are present here, because you're also thinking about your future. And it's a very difficult time for all those students who are present here. You have completed your high school examinations in 12th standard. You have taken the examination, the results have come, and then you hardly had a break. You couldn't take a vacation or even spend some meaningful time away from home. And then you had to take your entrance examination. Here you are now looking at entering into university and pursue your higher education opportunity. So in some ways, what we want to do at OP Jindal Global University and through this forum is to provide an opportunity to be part of a world-class university in India, which actually provides you with an outstanding education, but also empowers you to pursue meaningful opportunities in the future. My colleagues, including our outstanding Dean, Professor Thomas McCall, who has, as he mentioned, been an architect, but also a professor of architecture in different parts of the world. Then, of course, the Vice Dean, Professor Jaideep, who's a director of the undergraduate program, and many other outstanding faculty members who are actually present as a part of this forum. Esther Schmidt, Zai Malpani, and many others who will speak in the course of this evening. Let me quickly introduce the university itself. OP Jindal Global University was founded as a philanthropic initiative of our founding chancellor and benefactor, Mr. Jindal, in the year 2000. 2009. But before that, I had the privilege to study in many universities in India and abroad, including in Delhi University, and then at Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar, and then at Harvard, and then I was a lawyer in New York and taught in Japan and for many years in Hong Kong. And during all those years, I had the dream of wanting to create a university in India which truly redefines the character of Indian higher education. As somebody who had the privilege of studying in both Indian and institutions abroad, I realized how important transformative universities could be, particularly for investing in the ideas of young people. And that was the birth of this university. I had the privilege to meet Mr. Jindal in the year 2006 and 7, persuaded him to do 3 things. 1, to make a substantial financial commitment. 2, to do it in a not-for-profit manner. And 3, to let us have the academic freedom and autonomy and independence to build a world-class university in India. He invited me to move from Hong Kong to India in early 2008, and then we began the process of institution building from scratch. The longer story will be for another day, but basically we began the first academic session with the first school of the university, Jindal Global Law School, with only 100 students and nearly 20 faculty members and administrative staff. And in a very modest manner, we begin the first academic session in September 2009. Since then, we never looked back. In 2010, we started the business school. In 2011, the School of International Affairs. In 2012, the School of Government and Public Policy. In 2013, the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. In 2016, the School of Journalism and Communication. In 2017, the School of Art and Architecture. 2018, the School of Banking and Finance. And in 2019, the School of Environment and Sustainability, which began its academic session just a few weeks ago. And this year, we have announced the establishment of the 10th school of the university, the Jindal School of Psychology and Counseling, which will begin its first academic session in August 2021. During this journey, we moved from, say, 20 faculty members in 2009 to over 700 faculty members now, full-time. We moved from, say, 100 students to nearly 6,600 students. We moved from a 50-acre campus to a 300-acre campus. We moved from, say, 100,000 square feet of built-up space to over 2.5 million square feet of built-up space. Beyond that physical expansion, we also have expanded in our own engagement intellectually. There are 5 things that has happened as a part of our founding vision and continue to shape our mission. First, we are a global university. For us to be a global university means to have a global curriculum, a global course structure, a global program, a global faculty, a global research agenda, all of which promoting global interaction. The School of Architecture that we have as faculty members from different parts of the world, but also the faculty members who are from India have also been trained and worked in different parts of the world. It also means for us to be able to build substantive partnerships with universities around the world. The Jindal School of Art and Architecture has built international collaborations and partnerships which are going to benefit our students. It also means for us to do several things internationally, which includes faculty exchange, student exchange, joint teaching, joint research, joint conferences, joint publications, dual degree programs, short-term study abroad programs, inward mobility immersion programs, and joint executive education programs. I strongly believe that this aspect of our university, and in particular, the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, is going to be immensely beneficial for the students of JSAA. The second aspect of our university is quite remarkable, which I think is extremely useful for the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, which is that we are an interdisciplinary university. We are a multidisciplinary institution, but an interdisciplinary university. What is that? What do I mean by that? As you must have seen, and if you haven't, you should see it. The National Education Policy 2020 has talked about and envisaged the idea of a liberal education. A liberal multidisciplinary university is what has been envisaged within the National Education Policy. Now, as a university from our early foundings, we have always envisaged our university to be multidisciplinary, which means that the students of Jindal School of Art and Architecture, who are essentially high school leavers, have an opportunity to study other courses in other schools, and that's part of what you have enrolled for. There is no additional fee or any other additional charges for it. If you are a student of art and architecture at Jindal, then you get to take courses in the law school, in the business school, in the international affairs school, in the public policy school, in the liberal arts school, in the journalism school, in the banking and finance school, and of course, the Jindal School of Environment and Sustainability. That interdisciplinarity is deeply woven in our institutional culture, but also it's part of our DNA. Now, of course, as students of architecture, you will be going through your own core courses and elective courses. You will have your studio experiences, your experiential learning opportunities. But one of the remarkable things that we have created within Jindal Global University is that the students of art and architecture are given an opportunity to examine their architectural learning within the larger context of how they can understand sociology, history, political science, literature, economics, law, and many other disciplines. Now, this actually becomes important not only from the standpoint of their learning in architecture, but it's also inherently critical from the standpoint of pedagogy. Now, you simply cannot develop your understanding of architecture without having a sense of the social context, the economic context, at times even the political context. And that's why, as high school leavers who are pursuing the study of architecture or built environment or design, it's important for you to actually have a sense of the larger social context that becomes critical for the study of art and architecture. In fact, it's great architects around the world have recognized this long ago, and it's absolutely critical that when we actually teach architecture, it's important for you to have that learning. I've always wondered why some of the leading schools of architecture within India have not envisaged the broader liberal arts and humanities thinking as they think about architectural studies itself. Now, I also want to mention that's the second aspect of what we do, which is interdisciplinarity. The third aspect of what we do is with regard to our strong effort to promote internationalization. As you heard from both Thomas Michael and Jaideep, we are deeply connected to universities around the world. As a university, we have partnership with over 250 universities around the world, including with Harvard and Oxford and Columbia and Cornell and Berkeley and many other universities in Australia and Hong Kong and Singapore, South Korea, Taipei, mainland China, of course, North America, Canada, Western Europe, and many other parts of the world. I can only imagine that these opportunities that we have created over the last decade or so is going to be immensely impacting the life of a student at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. Thomas Michael himself studied at Harvard, our dean. He used to work in New Zealand. Dr. Jaideep, our vice dean, had studied and obtained 2 PhDs from Cornell. Almost all our faculty members, including Esther and others who have studied in different parts of the world. So there is a very strong emphasis on connecting India with the world and the Indian imagination with the global imagination, and to bring the global imagination to the Indian context as well. So the third aspect of internationalization is so deeply embedded in our institutional character. The fourth aspect of the School of Art and Architecture in particular is in relation to our strong support system that we have provided for the students to pursue internships. We very strongly believe that architecture, the study of architecture, has to go and transcend beyond the classroom experiences. The theoretical foundations of knowledge and the perspectives and skills that get imparted in the classroom environment needs to be substantially, supported by a learning and experiential learning ecosystem in which the students are able to give an opportunity to pursue meaningful internships in different organizations. The Jindal School of Art and Architecture has recently established over 25 plus partnerships and signed MOUs with organizations that will fundamentally transform the way architecture education has been historically understood and appreciated in India. These internships will enable, empower, facilitate, and inspire the students of Jindal School of Art and Architecture to pursue a serious study of art and architecture, be it in the BR program, be it in the Bachelor of Arts in Built Environment Studies, be it in the Bachelor of Design, Interior Design program, all the 3 programs that we offer, that they will have opportunities to pursue that. These internships will be having both a summer internship component and a winter internship component, so that all through their learning experience, they are constantly supported in addition to what happens in the classroom, on campus, in the institution, with other forms of learning that happens outside. The fourth aspect of what we do at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture is our ability to engage with some of the leading architectural institutions and architects in the world and from India. There are regular conferences and lectures and workshops and seminars which are constantly promoted by the faculty members. They bring the leaders, thought leaders in the architecture field to come and speak to our students, who in turn get new ideas about their own discipline, but also get ideas about their future as well. Now, this actually contributes to the development of a very vibrant intellectual ecosystem, all of which enables our students to get the best of the opportunities. There is something to be said about being part of a multidisciplinary environment, because after all, the future architects, the future designers are going to be working in society in which they will have to understand law and regulation, business and finance. They need to understand history and society. They need to understand even anthropology and philosophy. All these disciplines in many ways are part of an effort to create a world-class architecture school. The fifth aspect of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture is something that we are very proud of, which is to be able to connect the knowledge and expertise and skills that the faculty members have to the community at large. A lot of work that happens within the Jindal School of Art and Architecture are by people who are themselves immersed in the community at large. Those learnings and those practices and those experiences are directly impacting the pedagogy and the opportunities that are made available for the students of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. I want to now quickly say a few words about our own evolution as a university. In the last 10 years or so, we have reached a number of milestones. The Jindal Global University a few years ago was given the highest accreditation by the National Accreditation and Assessment Council, NAC, which is the NAC A accreditation. We were one of the youngest universities which have ever got that accreditation. Of course, a few years ago, we broke into the global rankings of universities, one of the most prestigious rankings of the universities, the QS rankings. Nearly 3.5 years ago, we broke into the QS BRICS rankings, in which there are 9,000 universities, and OP Jindal Global University was ranked among the top 350. Later, we broke into the QS Asia rankings, in which there are 13,000 universities, and we were ranked one of the top 400 in the BRICS region, in the Asian region, which, as I said, has 13,000 universities. Of course, in the year 2020, 2019, something extraordinary happened. We broke into the QS World University rankings, and that was the first time. We were the youngest university in the world, the first and only non-STEM, non-medicine university to have broken into the QS World University rankings in India. We were essentially one of only 24 Indian universities among the 1,000 Indian universities to be ranked among the top 800 in the world, in which there are 38,000 universities. This year was very special for us, just when the world was attacked literally by the coronavirus. Sometime in the month of March, the QS released its 2021 world rankings, and quite remarkably, OP Jindal Global University became one of the top 700 in the world. We jumped 100 ranks. We also were ranked as India's #1 private university and one of only 21 Indian universities to be ranked in the QS World University rankings. Of course, we remain the first and only non-STEM, non-medicine university. A few weeks later, in the month of April, the QS released its QS World University rankings for young universities, which are under 50. And there we were ranked as top 150 in the world. And of course, India's first and only private university to be ranked in the QS World University rankings as a young university among the top 150 in the world. Now, these milestones are important, but the most important milestone that we received, that was in August 2019, was the fact that we were declared as an institution of eminence. It was a very important public policy initiative by the Prime Minister of India, in which 10 public and 10 private universities were essentially recognized to become institutions of eminence and then propelling them to become world-class universities. OP Jindal Global University was recognized as an institution of eminence among one of only 8 private universities to have been given this status. We are the first and only non-STEM, non-medicine university in that entire list of 10 public and 10 private universities to be declared as an institution of eminence. As I end my remarks, I want to say that as potential students of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, I can only imagine the extraordinary opportunity that is waiting for you here. The university itself is a beautiful, fully residential, state-of-the-art campus. The classroom experiences are truly remarkable, as our students will tell you. The entire opportunity to engage with students from over the 28 different states of India and 20 plus countries in the world, and the opportunity to engage with some of the most inspiring minds in your own faculty and also other colleagues from other schools is a truly life-changing opportunity that is awaiting for all of you. I also want to tell you that as we have already begun the academic session and we are in the early part of September, it's important for you to take your decisions as soon as possible. We as a university have ensured that despite the global pandemic and the COVID-19 crisis, we have kept the interest of our students paramount. Nothing has changed from our standpoint. We are working harder than ever before, and we have constantly kept the students' interest in our effort to continue to make a substantial contribution in their lives. We look forward to welcoming you to our campus. I sincerely hope that those of you who are thinking about the possibility of studying at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, stop thinking and start doing. This is your moment, and this is a choice that you will make. And I can only assure you that you will have a life-changing experience being part of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. In some ways, I want to end by saying that as you think about your future, it's absolutely critical that you become part of an institution that actually inspires you through the educational experience, the intellectual ecosystem, the quality and the qualifications and experience of the faculty, the vibrant intellectual community, and in my view, the interdisciplinary learning opportunity that it provides. The fact that you have a state-of-the-art campus, the fact that we are globally engaged, the fact that we provide all these opportunities are also important. But I think the other things that I mentioned to you are even more important. I would like to end by saying that this is a moment for you to express your gratitude to your parents and your family members, for they have helped you travel this distance so far. And now you are at a very important juncture in your own life as you think about your future. I can only hope that the Jindal School of Art and Architecture and our faculty members are eagerly awaiting to mentor you and to help and support you to fulfill your goals and aspirations. It's an extraordinary moment in all our lives when we move from a school context to a university context. And that's exactly what you are in. I would like to end by saying something that I've always admired, that particular aspect, which is so true for architects in particular. There's a very famous quote by Leonardo da Vinci when he said that, and I quote, "Beauty perishes in life, but is immortal in art." And that's exactly what all of you are pursuing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Raj. That was extremely inspirational. And we thank you for all the support that the JSA has received and continue to hope for all the support that we will receive. Folks, the JSA started with a singular objective: to produce professionals that are needed to develop the cities, the buildings, the infrastructure, the streets, the factories, the houses, in short, the built environment of the 21st century India and beyond. Our country, as you know, stands at a very interesting crossroad. On the one hand, our national aspirations have never been higher. We want to be recognized as a developed nation in the world. We want to become leaders in manufacturing. We want to become leaders in the education sector. We want to have the kind of cities and the kind of environments which are examples for the rest of the world to follow. On the other hand, however, there is also the reality of what is there. Right? And anyone who lives in our cities and towns and villages knows this. One crisis, things stop. One rain, things stop. This is all because at some level, we have not built our environment and our systems with adequate care and foresight. So dire is the situation that for successive governments, a main idea has been to really
Jati, we can't hear you.
yeah, I'm sorry. I just realized that. Can you hear me now? Right.
We can hear you, yes.
Yeah. So dire is the situation that for successive governments, we've been trying to address this problem for almost a decade now. So 5 years ago, we saw the launch of the Smart Cities program with a lot of fanfare. But this has been merely the tip of the iceberg. A further boost to improving our built environment has been announced by the government pretty recently, which noted that India needs to spend about $1.4 trillion, that is India's GDP, over the next 5 years to improve the situation. But not much is happening. Funds are lying unused, projects are failing left, right, and center. Why? A very simple answer is this. We actually do not have the professionals who are required to undertake this transformational task. A quick look at these numbers will tell you what the situation is. We actually have less qualified professionals per 100,000 of population than Nigeria. But it's not only a numerical scarcity. We also do not have the right kind of professionals for the job. As per the World Bank report of 2012, we need professionals who can work in all of these areas. There's functionality, space resilience, safety, climate infrastructure, spatial demand, environment policy, land, basic infrastructure, sort of climate transformations, networks and development, right? But and at multiple scales, we need people to work at the building scale, at the neighborhood level, at the city level, at the metropolitan, national, and the supranational level. However, and as Raj mentioned earlier, our traditional schools of architecture, with their siloed educations, are not really prepared for this. This is where the JSAA comes in. It has been envisaged to set up and to revolutionize the philosophy, methods, processes of teaching available in the field and offered in the country today. As part of the Jindal Global University, which is recognized as an institution of eminence by the Indian government and has recently been also recognized by the QS ranking as one of the top universities in the country, the JSAA is mandated to bring innovative programs. Keeping this in mind, we have at our school 4 unique and absolutely cutting-edge programs for study. But before we go on to showcase the why of what makes them unique, let me briefly outline what they are. Each program that follows addresses particular gaps in expertise that exist in the development of our cities, our towns, our infrastructures, our communities, our neighborhoods at different scales. The first program of study at the JSAA is the Licensed Architectural Program. Accredited by the Council of Architecture, the architecture program at the JSAA is designed for students who want to work at the level of individual buildings and practice as a licensed architect in India. Our 5-year program, centered on making of buildings, will train you to become leading licensed architects in India. As graduates of this program, you will be able to enter the workforce directly as self-employed architects and/or work in firms and the construction industry as architects. Or should you choose, you can continue your education through postgraduate studies in design, architecture planning, regional studies, urban landscape design, project construction management. Our second program is a first of its kind, unique 3+1 fellowship year program in architectural studies. This program is designed for students who want to study architecture but are from a humanities, social sciences, and commerce backgrounds. This is a multidisciplinary program designed to produce professionals who are committed to understanding and making our built environment just, safe, and equitable. graduates of this program would be part of a team of professionals who ensure that building designs and construction happens in a manner that is historically sensitive, contextually appropriate, and both pleasing and sensitive to the needs of its inhabitants. After graduation, students can enter the workforce directly as green building consultants, as heritage and conservation managers, landscape designers, project managers, real estate developers, museum creators, architectural historians, critics, etc. Or here too, should you choose to continue education, you can do so through postgraduate studies here and all over the world in architecture, planning, regional studies, urban landscape, project construction management. Our third program is also a very unique program. It is, and it is a program in community planning and development. This program is especially designed for students who are interested in working at the level of neighborhoods and communities, helping them to plan, develop equitably and sustainably. As community planners and designers and developers, you will work to improve the quality of life through recommendations such as on the use of public transportation systems, development of walkable communities, development of affordable housing, sustainable practices. You will be involved in making communities more livable by regulating land use, creating design guidelines, or developing finance packages. As community planners and developers, you will ensure that all members of the community are involved and represented in decision-making processes. You will work to make political, social, economic opportunities for communities and drive change in organizations and society at multiple levels. As graduates of this program, you will be able to enter the workforce directly as city planners, as environmental impact analysis, as real estate agents, as surveyors, as community developers, as development professionals in the development sector. Or here too, if you choose to pursue your education, you're eligible for postgraduate studies in design and architecture and planning, in urban landscaping, project construction, and all of the above. Right. Our final part, which we have just launched, is an interior design. This is especially designed for students whose interest lies in developing interior environments at any scale, from the domestic to the urban. As interior designers, you will not only be making materials, surface, their treatments, forms, all of that, but also how to make environments safe, the interior environments safe, just, and sustainable from the inside out. You will be especially trained to understand the transformation and reuse of existing buildings. You will understand how our interior environments are part of a larger ecosystem of meanings and how you, as a designer, can produce newer meanings and newer narratives. As graduates of this program, you can work as interior designers, as interior architects, as scenographers, as furniture designers, as lighting designers. You can work in marketing and sales of big companies, as hospitality consultants, as sustainable interior consultants, as media visualizers, as curatorial consultants, as museum designers, etc. Or here too, if you should choose to continue your education, you can go on for higher education in architecture, planning, design, project management, all of that. Okay. Now, now, if this just was a short introduction to our programs, I would like to now shift to those things which make our program truly unique and unlike any other in the country. The first such feature is actually our curricular structure, which allows students a level of flexibility and choice which is not available anywhere else today. I would like to actually invite Professor Aditya Ghosh, who's an associate professor at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, to talk a bit about this.
Hello. Thank you, Professor Chatterjee, and very warm welcome to all of you today's session. Interdisciplinarity is a unique strength of our school, which has already become very important globally. Now, our curricular design allows students to develop expertise in a wide range of subjects that are becoming extremely important in the field of architecture, architectural studies, community planning and development, and design studies as well. Students here are offered subjects like, for example, gender, ecology and environment, history and evolution of built environment, social and cultural geography, sociology, GIS and geoinformatics, cultural studies, anthropology of design, fine arts, and all of which help them having a deeper understanding of what their respective core subjects, its application, and their context. However, we believe that every student comes with their unique set of skills, interests, styles of learning, and ideas, as well as a sense of pace. Now, to encourage this diversity and help them excel in their own ways, we do not believe in thrusting these subjects upon them. Instead, we encourage them to take up these courses at their own pace, judging their own requirements and interests. We call it designing your own curriculum, which is a unique feature of the school. Let me explain in brief. If you look at the architecture, the plan that we have for 5 years up here on the screen, you will realize that it is of course broken down into in 5 years. But apart from the green little boxes that you see up here, foundation year is of course common for all incoming students, and from the second year onwards, a student will have the flexibility of enrolling in a bouquet of courses of their choice, of course, each semester. Now, despite many of these courses being mandatory requirements, these can be completed through the following semesters, like the next semesters after the foundation year, in any permutation and combination. Now, this applies to all our programs: architecture, architectural studies, community planning. So, for example, in architecture, courses mentioned in the green boxes you see, they're mandatory in each semester. All others, like apart from these green boxes, all others can be interchanged between semesters. Of course, completing them all in the entire 5 year time that one will have in the architecture. Similarly, if we look at the sorry the architectural studies and community planning and development program, both these programs, you see that the ones which are on the top are of course again mandatory, and of course the foundation year applies to all of the courses, all of the programs that we have. Again, you can develop the curricula in at your own pace, replacing one with the other depending on your requirement, depending on your interests and your pace of learning. So this is of course again true for our design studies program as well. Now, this offers students the comfortable choice of making learning at their own, uh, also shape the kind of programs and learnings according to their own choices and interests and pace. But at the same time, it also, along with the minors one can choose, it also offers them the unique possibility of creating curricula which is not predetermined or pre-designed by faculty or professors or even the university in that sense. So I think this is a really good and really unique kind of a feature that we have in the school, and it will be further discussed and elaborated upon by my other colleagues. Thank you, Jenny.
All right. Thank you so much, Aditya, for that. You hit upon the one thing that is central to us, that we believe students come with their own learning, come with their own pace of learning, their own style of learning. And that's something we really want to make sure that students at JSA realize that they can take, and they do end up taking courses exactly how they want to. Whatever they want to learn first, they do first. Whatever they want to learn later, they do later. And the entire curriculum is extremely flexible. Now, the second singular feature of all our programs is the minor coursework that they include. The idea of having a minor coursework is very simple. Increasingly, designers have come to realize that to effect even the smallest change in the built environment requires multiple knowledges and stakeholders. It is only when different systems of knowledge and stakeholders work collaboratively, can actual transformation happen. Now, our minor programs thus allow students to learn and to develop an additional area of expertise. This actually brings three very, very important uh, advantages to them. I would like to just show you the slide on this. Uh, Now, the first advantage is that it produces our students as unique professionals when they enter the job market. Take, for example, students from the community planning and development pathway. Now, suppose they can get a minor in architecture or sociology, literary studies, or communication. If by doing so, suddenly a whole lot of different jobs become available to them. Or they could do a different set of minors, and suddenly another whole new set of jobs become available to them. As you will see later on, we have secured internships with designers in places like World Wildlife Fund, the Center for Science and Environment, with CBRE, places which are Fortune 500 companies. These are not traditional places where designers work, but our minor programs is making our students extremely attractive to such organizations. Secondly, as graduates have to always complete a minimum of 24 credits in their minors, they can actually go ahead and do a master's in their minor area of choosing. Right? Finally, and this is very, very important, since our students are getting an additional area of expertise, they're also much better at working collaboratively with other stakeholders and experts to transform our environments. At present, we currently have 12 such minors on offer at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, with more to come. To talk about some of the minor programs that our students can enter, I would now like to invite some of the vice deans from the other schools of Jindal Global University who have graciously joined us today. We will first hear from Dr. Brajesh Kumar, who is the vice dean of the Jindal Global Business School. Over to you, Brajesh.
Thank you, Jaideep, for this great opportunity. My name is Brajesh Kumar, and I'm the professor of finance at Jindal Global Business School, and I'm also one of the vice deans and have a responsibility of taking the academic activities of the school. Let me briefly introduce you to the Jindal Global Business School. We are the second largest school of the Jindal Global University. We started in year 2010, and now we have around 900 students and 80 faculty members. We have 5 different programs, which includes a 3-year BBA honors program, 5 years integrated BBA MBA program, 2 years MBA program, and 2 years online MBA program on digital banking and digital finance and banking, jointly offered by the JSBF, Jindal School of Banking and Finance. And we also have a PhD program, right? So in terms of, if you look at all our programs, they are designed in a way that our graduates acquire some of the very, very important competencies, which not only restricted to the functional and the domain knowledge, it also actually helps us in acquiring very important, a unique kind of competency, which is of course applicable for the JSA students as well, like the critical thinking, like the entrepreneurial mindset, the communication skills, like the responsible global citizen, where we talk about the ethics and the CSR and the corporate governance. So these are the unique competencies we have. In terms of the delivery of the program, we have 80 faculty members who have actually, most of them have done the PhD from the leading management institutes in India and across the world. And they are actually going to engage with you in class and of the class, right? So, and also in terms of the methodology, it's not only based on like the classroom kind of environment. This is very unique for the JGU, and that also with the JGBS, that it is focused on the case methodologies, focused on the experiential exercises, it's focused on the kind of the teamwork and the leadership. So this is the unique characteristics of the business school. And let me briefly talk to you about the minors. And we discussed with Jaideep, and we worked for like from last 6 months, we are discussing and wanted to bring a unique opportunity for the JSA students across all the 4 programs. So as Professor Jaideep said, that you have to earn the 24 credits to get the minor when you are opting for the for the business, opting from the business studies. So that also, that 24 credits is also uniquely divided into the two broader components. One is the core business concepts, which we call it the fundamental of business management. Like you have to do the basic courses of financial management, basic courses of operation and supply chain, basic courses on human resource, basic courses on economic analysis, which will build the basis of the management education. And the very unique characteristics of the second part of this major is that you are going to choose electives which are offered from the different 7 areas what we have. And just to give you an example, when you are opting for the electives, you may like to choose the elective from, let's say, finance area, where you are learning the corporate finance, where you are working on the project appraisal, right? We are working on, you are learning the banking law and operation. You are actually looking for the risk management, and which is related to the financial risk management. When you look, when you want to take the courses from marketing area, you have unique courses which is actually covering the brand management, the digital marketing, the e-commerce. So that is also very unique, and we are proud to have, like, including both the fall and spring semester, we have around 150 electives coming from these 7 disciplines. So you have very, very unique opportunity. What Professor Jadip and Professor Aditya said, you do the basic courses of finance, and then you may also like to get into particular specific area depending upon your choice, or you may have a bouquet of getting the courses from different disciplines. Like you may choose, like, okay, I want to focus more on the kind of the supply chain and operation. So we have unique courses on the project management, the supply chain optimization. Very unique courses are there. You can choose, so, okay, I want to do and I specialize in entrepreneurs. You want to start your own. So we have a whole around 15 to 16 courses are coming from the entrepreneurship area, where you will learn the new venture planning, you will do the design thinking kind of a courses. So this, I will believe that this is a very, very unique opportunity which has been given to the JSA students to choose courses from a rich offering of the business school. And I believe, which our Vice Chancellor said, this is possible in a space like the JGU, where we not only talk about the interdisciplinarity, we actually believe it and we work on this. So this is a brief I wanted to tell about the business study. Thank you, Jadip. Thank you for this opportunity. And
Thank you so much, Brijesh. That was very, very informative. And I know something really special and exciting ways for the students of JSA who will actually select a minor in your school. Next up, we have Dr. Joyini Banerjee, who is the Associate Dean of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. Over to you, Joyini.
Thank you, Joydeep. And I'm going to talk about the programs in the Liberal Arts and Humanities School. As the Vice Chancellor pointed out, that the new national education policy is highlighting the importance of a liberal arts education. And we've been practicing that for a while now. Our school was started with only about 15 students in 2014. And at the moment, we have almost 350 students. Uh, in terms of pedagogy, in terms of research interests, we align very closely with the School of Art and Architecture. In fact, there are lots of research overlaps between our faculty, and we do collaborate in terms of courses. Our students take courses in art and architecture, and vice versa. So there are 3 minors that we have identified that students who join JSA could follow in the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. Now, as students who would design space or study space, or work in community development, you would appreciate that space is also socially produced. And this is an aspect that we hope to highlight through the minor in sociology and anthropology. We have research interests in ecology in cities. So those of you who, for example, want to work on redesigning urban spaces, let's say through art, we have courses on, like, society and arts, on culture of cities that could be of interest to you. Similarly, our literary studies minor offers you the possibility of learning about cities through literature, or learning about space through literature. We have a very popular course on gender and literature that looks at, there's a very specific way, there's a big difference in which, genders use space. So I think that appreciation also comes through reading about different spaces. Okay, I hope I am audible clearly now. Okay, sorry if you could
Now
not
you are.
hear me clearly before. The third minor that we have identified within the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities is history. And within history, of course, we have courses on tribes in India, we have courses on Islam in South Asia, we have courses.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jenny. Jenny, you're not audible at all to the audience. Can I request you to come closer to the mic, please?
Okay,
Or if you can
sure.
use the headphone.
Is this better?
No, not at all.
Not at
Maybe
all.
the mic of your laptop is, the volume of laptop is very low.
Okay, let me try with my headphones. I'll try and see if that works better. Okay, I don't know. I usually do my meetings without the headphones and it works. Just give me 2 minutes.
No, the volume of your laptop is very less. Maybe if you increase that, it will help you.
No, it's at the maximum. Is this better? Is this better?
We can hear you a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah, slightly better, but not that much, but slightly better. Just continue. It's okay.
Okay. Do you want me to start again, or should I just?
No, you can continue.
Okay. Okay. So yes. So apart from these three minors, students from JSA have also been taking our studio courses in arts, in photography, in theater, in visual arts as well. A key feature, and there are, as I mentioned, lots of overlaps between in terms of research interests, but also in terms of pedagogy. In a liberal arts curriculum, and the classroom is an interactive classroom. And much like the School of Art and Architecture, which works very closely with students, we work very closely with students as well. Our class sizes are no more than 30 students, which allows an interactive method of teaching and learning. So most of our classes are seminar based, including our studio based classes, which are also quite practical. The third and the final point that I would like to mention, and that is of relevance to those of you who are thinking of taking the community development project. I think almost all schools in JGU work very closely with the local community. And this is one of our speciality as well. Although it's a course that's not open, but we do work very closely with the local primary schools and Anganwaris, and we can look at collaborations with JSA along those lines. I think it's important that we have conversations. This idea of minors was put together so that, the idea of interdisciplinarity, as Brajesh pointed out, is not just mentioned, but also practiced. So I'll just leave it at that. Over to you, Joydeep.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Johnny. As you said, yeah, it's kind of interesting how close the School of Liberal Arts and the School of architecture is in many ways. The ways we think, the kind of things that we want to work on. In fact, as you know, there are a couple of social scientists even at our end, on our side of the fence. All right. So thank you so much for that, Johnny. I would like now to invite Dr. Anand Mishra, who is the Vice Dean of the Jindal School of Banking and Finance. So over to you, Anand.
Thank you, Jaideep. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much for inviting me and letting me speak to your prospective students. My friends, I represent Jindal School of Banking and Finance. As the title of the school suggests that we are focused on banking and finance. Currently, we have two programs in our school. One is Bachelor of Commerce, that is 3-year Bachelor of Commerce program. And the other one, undergraduate program that we are going to be launching from the next year onward, that is BA in Finance and Entrepreneurship. And of course, as Professor Brajesh has already mentioned, we have a postgraduate program, which is MBA in Digital Banking and Finance, which we offer to online platform along with Jindal Global Business School. Like many other schools in our university, we are also trying to bring something new to the world of finance. The way the area of finance was being taught at several business schools and many other places is changing, and is changing rapidly because of advent of technology, because of new requirements of governance and disclosure norms, not only by various governments within the country, but across the world. So we offer courses as far as our Bachelor of Commerce is concerned. We offer courses along 4 pathways. One is, of course, finance and risk management. And the second one is banking law and financial regulation. And the third one is analytics and fintech. And the fourth one is entrepreneurship. And the new program that we are launching, BA in Finance and Entrepreneurship, as the title of the program suggests, it's going to be focused on, it's some sort of in the intersection of finance as well as entrepreneurship. I'm going to talk to you briefly about both the programs. So any student of JSA who has desire to become an entrepreneur or wants to work in any organization in a managerial role, or even after because of passage of time you find yourself in a slightly senior position, you can safely assume that you will have to deal with financial information. You will have to be able to understand financial statements of various kinds, cash flow statement, balance sheet, income statement, whether you like it or not. And I hope you will be interested in knowing something about that, because you will not be able to escape that. So in case you want to understand something about financial statement, therefore we have courses around financial accounting. If you want to understand how to price your services better, how to price your products better, we have courses around management accounting, which helps you learn ways to understand the pricing aspect of any product or services. If you want to understand that, if you foresee, or you never know what's going to happen in the future, but if you find yourself in some sort of entrepreneurial position or work in an organization which is in want of raising more fund, we have courses around that. Through what sources can you raise fund? What can you expect if you're raising funds from one source rather than the other? How do you manage risk associated with one source of fund as opposed to other source of fund? If you want to learn about how to assess the risk involved with a project, in your case, most likely the projects will be in the real estate area. We have electives around project appraisal, which not only teaches you how to value certain kind of projects, but it also teaches you how to look at various aspects of risk that are embedded with any project. Now, our program in BA Finance and Entrepreneurship, of course, We have variety of courses, focused on entrepreneurship. For example, I'll give you an example of a course which is called Working Capital Management. Many startups actually struggle with cash flow management. So many times you may have very interesting clients and very promising clients, but you may not have cash to actually back yourself. How do you manage day-to-day operations? How do you manage that? How do you manage to have sufficient amount of cash, that is liquid assets, so that you are not technically insolvent, in the sense that you have great future, but you do not have enough cash to sustain yourself for next 2-3 months. You do not have enough cash to pay salary to your employees or perhaps colleagues, or perhaps you do not have enough cash to pay off your coffee bill or tea bill. So how do you manage cash around? We also teach students various kinds of software. I'm not talking about software which are relevant for art and architecture student. I'm talking about software which helps you manage your data, because you will also be dealing with data, various kinds of data. How to present that data in a manner through which any external user of that information can easily comprehend. And many of you, I hope, will find some of the courses that we offer in both the program, that is basically around how to invest in various kinds of financial market. I hope you make whatever money you desire. Maybe you desire a lot of money, maybe you desire just an optimum amount of money. But if you have that money, how do you manage that? We have several courses around that. In fact, we have a simulation course which we teach to our student in partnership with National Stock Exchange, where students actually learn to invest in stock market, not only equity market, but also in debt market, also in derivative market. And the interface is it will look exactly the way it looks for a broker. It seems whatever a broker will be looking at, you will also be looking at. There'll be only minor change, that the data that you'll be getting from National Stock Exchange, that will have a lag of couple of minutes. That's the only difference. So I think that anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur in real estate area or entrepreneurship area or community, landscape planning, whatever area that may be, we have variety of courses that can help you become far more successful entrepreneur. So Jaideep, that's about it. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
Thank you, Anand. Whether we like it or not, we've all got to earn money, and we've all, as designers, have to learn how to become entrepreneurs. So your school, has a lot of people who our students are going to, right? And they're taking a lot of classes in your school. Trust me on that. Right? Finally, but not the least, I would like to call Kishlay Bhattacharya, who is the Vice Dean of the Jindal School of Journalism and Communication. Over to you, Kishlay.
Hi, Jaideep. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. Thanks, Kishlay.
And welcome to all the students. Welcome to OP Jindal Global University, to the Jindal School of Architecture. Now, journalism is basically how you make sense of what's going around. And how do you make sense of what's going around you? That is at the very core of journalism is basically interdisciplinarity. I mean, without being interdisciplinary, journalism cannot exist. And being in this kind of an university and environment which fosters interdisciplinarity, you are most welcome to the journalism school and to the courses of the journalism school. I was reading something up this morning for my class tomorrow, and I was listening. I offer a course on migration of the pandemic, and both migration of the pandemic. When I'm studying, I see there's a lot of intersections with what architects are saying around the world, because the future of the world now that is going to be designed where the design and the architects are going to make a lot of sense. Also, I was listening to one of our most celebrated writers and columnists, a journalist in a sense, who was actually an architect, Arundhati Roy. And she was talking about the pandemic as a portal. And I was preparing notes for my lecture tomorrow. Another course that I actually offer at the school, which is a cross-disciplinary elective, is a course on reporting conflict, crisis, and disaster. And when I do crisis and disaster, there's so much of intersection with design and architecture, really. I myself, I've been a career journalist all my life, and I used to cover conflict and disaster. And when I meant disaster, number of earthquakes that I've covered, and one of the first, people, the agents who actually arrived there to basically rehabilitate the people, particularly in the Nepal earthquake, the Sikkim earthquake, one that happened near Kashmir, and of course Bhuj in Gujarat. In each of them, the architects played a very, very important role. So there are courses. You already have had such a overload of information over the last 1 hour. I don't want to give you more, but just give you a few, just a sneak preview of the kind of courses that we teach, and then we will curate and customize it to your requirement. We, of course, being the School of Journalism and Communication, we have a very long trajectory starting from the first to sixth semester on visual imagination, radio and voice, television, multimedia storytelling, new media, where again, there are a lot of intersections with your school. We lay a lot of stress on, I'm very proud of one course, which is data journalism. Without crunching big data, I don't think so we are going to go anywhere in any discipline, whether you're journalism, and that's why journalists will have to upgrade the skill, because newsrooms did not have data journalists. I for one, I've escaped not understanding data, but data is at the heart of understanding how we are going to live. Neighborhood reporting is one of our, again, curated course, which several other schools do, but we actually go to the field to report, to understand. Again, while we teach reporting religion, caste, and religion and caste, we see that it has so much intersection with architecture, because how was the cities divided? How were the cities designed? The cities were designed actually, it's a caste division of the city. In many cities, and I will not mention those cities, the railway line divides two religions, or the river. Benares is the only city actually where you have next to the river a different caste, a higher caste living. But usually in other places near the river, so the caste division and water and caste are extremely interconnected. And of course, there are various aspects of communication which we train, teach, take you through, and which is going to be very, very fundamental and integral in whatever profession, whatever you take up in life. I actually end here, but I almost became an architect. As in the sense that I did get into an architecture college, but in my time, the information we had to apply to the Directorate of Public Instructions, and the only manner of communication was a registered post. And by the time I actually got my confirmation of my seat had gone. It was only 2 months into classes. Later, of course, I did go into and spend a lot of time in that college at Sir J.J. College of Arts and Architecture in Bombay. And when I couldn't become an architect, I wanted to become an artist. So I tried doing that. Then I realized I was a failed artist. And then when nothing was working out, I started writing and became a journalist. So it was completely accidental of how I became a journalist, but I would love to be associated with the architecture school, because that's been my first love. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Krishna. Did not know that about you, that you wanted to become an architect and then decided to become a journalist instead. But Krishna, architectural journalism, design journalism is one of the biggest things that's there nowadays. And later on, when we talk about our internships, we will share with you how we are securing internships for our students with some of the top publishing houses that work on design journalism, on architectural journalism later on. Now, but thank you so much, Krishna. Much obliged. Now, the Miners program is our pride and joy, and it is actually helping us, like I said earlier, create this sort of wonderful opportunities for our students beyond just architecture or design offices. And all of this is made possible only by the collaborations of all the other schools. So thank you so much. I know our students have loved taking classes in all your schools, and will continue to do so. Now, if the first two sections highlighted on the uniqueness of the JSA focuses on its curriculum, the next two sections will elaborate on what we learn at the JSAA and how we learn at the JSAA. I want to invite Professor Abutala Faruqi, who's an assistant professor at the JSAA, to talk a bit about that. Over to you, Abu.
Thank you, Joydeep. I hope I am audible. And hello, everyone.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, and I hope, my screen is visible to all. So thank you all for taking the time out to be here. Before I begin to expand on what kind of life projects and hands-on learning we do at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, let me contextualize its importance in the current crisis of architecture and design education as well as its practice. See, the fundamental problem which I have witnessed over my professional career, and I've been continuously teaching as well as practicing architecture for the last 9 years, is that students are not sufficiently skilled to deal with the realities around them. And that reality could be of working in an office, that reality could be working on the site, or it could be delivering any kind of a building project. So most architecture schools do not deal with actual reality, and what is done instead is that the actual reality is sort of abstracted into, some kind of an abstract reality. And so the reality actually becomes a concept. So basically what happens is this, that the projects which are undertaken to make the students learn about architecture and design are hypothetical projects. And so there is no real client and there are no real constraints. And therefore, when they become designers and architects, they are not being able to negotiate the actual constraints that exist in real life and, the constraints that exist in real projects. And this is precisely what we are addressing at the JSAA. So our studio projects are live projects. As you can see these images, these are first year students interacting with the client stakeholder for their studio project. JSAA students go to the site, they interact and discuss issues with the actual client, and we make them understand that their job is to accomplish the project by fulfilling what the client and the project needs. And so if we look, this is precisely what is needed from a graduating professional also. And so this is one part of it. And the second aspect of our pedagogy and how we deal with reality in architecture education at the JSAA is what we call learning to work with your hands. And let me, expand what it means. So the shorter version of this aspect is this, that our students learn by making things, by unmaking them, by breaking them with their own hands. So for example, our students have not just made drawings of, say, foundations or walls or any other building component for that matter, but they have actually made it on the campus. So for a better insight, let me share with you a short video of students, how they are learning and enjoying making a foundation on the campus. So it's just a small snap into how things are. So as you can see, as you can see, they are doing brick work, they are doing concrete work, they are doing excavation and everything actually on their own. So in this process, they get sensitized with the materiality of design. They have a solid understanding of design details because they have made them with their own hands. So you see, the axiom and the spirit of our school is this, that knowledge is actually in the making, and it is through making that we understand and produce knowledge. And therefore, even the studios at our school are actually ateliers which work on the master apprentice method of learning. So here we have a master and we have students as the apprentices, and they learn just as an apprentice learns from the master, by looking, by mimicking, by imitating, and therefore by improvising in the whole process. And so, even a course like structural systems, which is sort of a theoretical courses taught in a very pragmatic way, The students learn it by actually testing the structural strength of the things that they have made. And this testing takes place in real conditions, as you can see in the video. So these are some sketches which the students were doing. And this is, again, a very short video of how they are actually testing it out. So it's an egg drop competition. And, to actually conclude my point, about hands-on learning and life projects, let me say this, that we are essentially doing, what we are actually doing at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture is bridge the gap, or I would say the wide gap which exists between how theory is understood and how profession is understood in design and architecture. And our method is very clear. We are actually bringing the architecture and design profession and practice into the classroom. And so that is how we are transforming the architecture and design education. And that is how we aspire to eventually transform the built environment. Thank you, everyone, once again for your time. And over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Abu. That really sort of got us to the meat of what we do in our classes and how we teach, right? Everything by learning by making, learning by doing, learning through real constraints, learning through real life experiences. But learning at the JSA is not only about learning in the classroom or in the field. Learning continues in another way at the JSA. I would like to now invite Professor Zaid Malpani, who is an associate professor at the JSAA, to talk about our rather innovative internship philosophy and schedule. Over to you, Zaid.
Thank you. I will just move to screen share as well. Hi everyone, I'm Zai, and I want to talk a bit more about something Professors Farooqi and Chatterjee had mentioned, which is the split between design schools and the industry. This is a grave issue, especially since one of the primary concerns for anyone is their future prospects. How do you get a dream job if you aren't adequately trained for it? For that matter, how do you identify your dream job unless you get to test the waters? At JSAA, we address this not only through bringing practice into school, but importantly, through our interesting internship initiative. This is part of JSA's larger educational philosophy to redress the distance between making or building and learning that is characteristic of design and professional education in India in particular, but pretty much all over the world. For example, personally speaking, I graduated from a renowned architectural institution. 5 years down the line, I had no idea how to practice, how to make. Thus, it's important that making and building are central to the teaching that happens at JSAA. While the atelier system, which is the studio system here, closely mimicking practice, addresses this by working with live projects, we further reinforce this by encouraging our students to take on multiple internships, which are interspersed through their learning career. This is unlike most other schools where there is at the most one internship. Talking a bit more about that. So a typical prospective intern from the JSAA would be entering into the third year of their program, having completed somewhere between 40 to 75% of their training in any one of the 4 academic pathways that we've already spoken about. In addition to this, the prospective intern would also be trained in one minor area of study. For example, while in the architecture program, there's a mandated, you're seeing the architecture program curriculum map in front of you, you can clearly see there's one mandated internship. However, there are multiple other summer and winter internships that you are supposed to take. Similarly, in all of the other programs, whether it's architectural studies, community planning, or interior design, there are 2 longer summer internships and then winter internships as well. The idea really is that you're an active agent in your career path. As many of you would agree, no one has only one interest, and this would allow you to fruitfully explore this. What is perhaps most distinctive about us and all of these internships are that they're actually aligned with your minors, in that you're offered flexibility. For example, and again, we've spoken about this earlier, if somebody takes up a business and management studies minor, it opens up the opportunity to work with very famous companies like CBRE, JLL, the CIDC, and so on and so forth. This really helps you become a unique professional who moves much beyond the standard or normative internship to become a lucrative candidate for those organizations. In fact, most designers actually have a tough time getting a foot into the door of these companies. This is not something our students will face. Or, alternatively, for somebody who's interested in sustainability, in ideas of conservation and history, you may want to go work with the World Wildlife Fund or Neemrana Hotels, which does a lot of heritage conservation, or you might be more attuned towards working with companies like Herman Miller and making it an interesting space for yourself there. Again, you might be somebody who's more research and writing oriented. So, for example, you took up a minor in journalism and communication. You might go work with one of our partner internship organizations, which is the Mondo Stir World, which is an international magazine, and they're doing fantastic work in India right now. You might be somebody who wants to work with non-profit organizations having pursued a minor something like sociology, psychology, or anthropology, right? So I have only thus far named a few of our allied internships. As I wrap up, I do have to let you know, and because this is really very exciting for us as both a school and as an institution, that we have recently signed MOUs with 20 national and international organizations, and we are continually growing our databases. With that, I hand the mic over to Professor Chatterjee again. Thank you.
Thank you, Zai. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of internships, placements. In fact, Jindal has one of the largest placement offices that are there, and we are intimately working to place our students, as Zai mentioned, in some of the places which, earlier or hitherto had not even thought that they can have architects and designers be a part of it, like the International Financial Group. We are in talks with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for example, to try and see how architects can work there. We are in talks with something like the Wellcome Trust to see how architects and designers can be a part of that. Right? Now, designing your own curriculum, choosing interdisciplinarity, learning by doing, making, learning from life itself, wonderful internship experiences that are beyond the traditional avenues. These are not the only exceptional things about the JSAA. What is very, very exciting for us is our central idea that governs all our programs, which is their globality, their up-to-dateness, their connections with what is happening around the world. How the students can exchange ideas, but also experience different forms of learning all over the world. To talk about our international collaborations of the JSAA, I would like to invite Dean Michael again, but this time along with Professor Esther Schmidt, who's an associate professor at the JSAA. Over to you, Tom and Esther.
Great. Thank you, Jaideep. I'll just quickly add that in my past lives as a professor in other countries, I've taken students internationally to places like Prague, Rome, Chicago, New York City. And I've also got students, former students, thousands of them now, placed all over the world. So it makes it somewhat easier to find connections for people. In the short term, what we're looking at are some short-term exchanges, because only recently has the Council of Architecture allowed semester-long exchanges. And that's happened since the pandemic, so there's not really many going on around the world right now. We're focusing on the idea of immersion, short trips and visits to architectural cultures and places of significance, where you get to visit a variety of architecture programs. You also visit firms, visit institutions and projects as well. Our June 2020 trip to London was postponed because of the travel restrictions, and we had some lined up for short-term trips to Istanbul and Chicago also planned in the next year. We're in the process of setting up some long-term semester exchanges. And again, this is a new policy that's just started. So we're still in the brainstorming phase of this. And we're looking at major Asian cities, Canada, US, UK, and Australia, basically places that speak English in the curriculum. Some of the universities I've spoken with in the last few weeks include the University of Michigan, Rhode Island School of Design, University of Nevada at Las Vegas, McGill University's Masters in Architecture, University of New South Wales in Australia, University of Adelaide in Australia, University of Malaya in Kuala Lumpur, and University of Johannesburg in South Africa. This year, most exchanges are happening online, and I've done some international webinars internationally from my desk here and vice versa, and there's opportunities for that, obviously. But in the future, we're looking forward to that time when travel will be open and that every student will have the international opportunity they want, supplemented obviously by the large number of international students and faculty at Jindal Global University and within Jindal School of Art and Architecture. And I'll wrap it up for there. There's a lot more information in the packages that people can get from the university and on the website, and hand it over to Esther. Esther, you there?
Hello, I'm pleased to see you all. My name is Dr. Esther Schmidt. I'm a practicing interior designer, a design historian, and a heritage specialist. Let me just share my presentation with you. Just a moment, please.
Esther, you might have to reshare your screen.
Yes.
You do it again, please.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we are planning and have done and are currently doing a number of very exciting international collaborations, particularly in the field of heritage, interior design, and design history, and the Center for Historic Houses that I established. So let me just give you an example of the type of international collaborations we are doing. So one is a summer school, which is not happening at the moment because of the pandemic, but we will do this as soon as again. We also do workshops throughout the year. We have guest lectures from international institutions. And we did an international conference last year, for example, the Water and Heritage Conference with the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences in Vienna, which is one of the leading institutions in the world for water research. Also with ICOMOS Netherlands and the Austrian Federal Authority for the Protection of Historic Monuments. So you see, some of the collaborations are with, leading universities, but others are with NGOs or heritage and conservation institutions. So to talk about the summer school, I'm very excited about collaborating with the University of Palermo in Sicily, Italy, and INTBAU. INTBAU is a short form for International Network for Traditional Building Architecture and Urbanism, which was established by His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, who's still involved in this. And there are various chapters throughout the world, including India. So here you see just a few examples. So we will be studying historic interiors, historic architecture through walks, and particularly in association with Lady Hamilton, who stayed in Palermo in the late 18th century. And we're looking at some very interesting interiors there. And we'll also do an installation, working with craftsmen, leading heritage management staff, architectural historians, architects, and interior designers. The academic institutions we are working with are, for instance, the University of Oxford, particularly their Heritage Network, the University of Palermo, as I mentioned, the University of Greenwich, and the Royal Agricultural College in the UK. We are also working with many other institutions, including museums and NGOs, such as the School of the Art Institute of the Chicago Art Institute. The workshops we are doing and will be doing for the next semester, lasting from about 6 months to 1 year, are the following. One is about innovative and non-visitor related business models for historic houses. Heritage is a very interdisciplinary field ranging from tourism, sustainability, heritage management, history, architecture, interior design. And so here we are also collaborating with businesses, for instance, and consultancies, international consultancies. On the right, you see a Heritage Interpretation Today workshop talking about colonial architecture, furniture, and interiors and its legacy today. And here we are working with some of the leading heritage institutions in the world. For example, the Oxford University Heritage Network, the National Trust, which is the largest conservation institution in Europe, and various associations dealing with historic houses in France, the European Historic Houses Association, the Historic Houses Association in the UK, and the French one, which is La Demeure Historique. Other institutions are, for instance, dealing with aspects of heritage management in tourism studies. This is especially tourism studies is something which is new. And I'm very excited about this, to look at this from an academic point of view, but also working with leading hotels such as the Taj Group or Nimrana, is the University of Greenwich. And we are working there with their tourism studies department, and the Royal Agricultural University in the UK, and their heritage management institution, which is brand new. So just to give you a few examples, but we are also working with institutions in the United States, such as Colonial Williamsburg, and they are also interested in some of the questions we are doing. So we really try to connect local aspects of historic houses and heritage with larger questions which are relevant to all of us. So, you know, Jindal University is a global university, and the architecture school has also this kind of global focus and orientation, always seeing the relevance between the local and the international. And so we're having various exciting talks. In fact, you know, we're working also with smaller institutions such as the Lutyens Trust in the UK, also Lutyens Trust in America. And for instance, on Friday, as part of our weekly series at the Center for Historic Houses, Resilience, Historic Houses of India and Their Custodians, we are working with Indian specialists from the Taj Group, talking about management aspects of what is probably the most famous historic house in India, one of them, the Lake Palace, which was also very early on developed as a hotel. And, you know, how has this changed over time? What have we learned from this kind of management aspect? And talking also to the royal family of Meva, and Professor Dipti Khera, who is a professor at New York University. Her book is just coming out with Princeton University Press this September. So we're really excited to talk about the history of the Lake Palace and wall paintings, and to have such an international focus and collective work. And here, for instance, you see especially the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Here we are working with specialists in conservation. We are currently also having one class on furniture history and objects. So we love to collaborate with our specialists who really are, you know, doing hands-on work in this regard. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have later during the chat, but I'd like to hand it over to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for elaborating how JSA is actually collaborating and doing some interesting work all across the globe and with people all across the globe, right? But finally, and perhaps not the last thing, is the people at the JSA, right, which makes us unique. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Alaparna Sengupta, who's an associate professor at the JSAA, to talk a bit about the faculty of the school, but also the university at large.
Thank you, Joydeep, and hello to everyone for joining us this evening and listening to us and our ideas about what JSA is and who are the people in JSA that who makes JSA. And that is where I come in right now. And so let me just talk to you a little bit about this. So one of the key components of what makes JSA are the faculty members. We are a spirited bunch of people with a thorough understanding of not only how to work with interdisciplinary knowledge production in the classroom, but also to live it through our own research and other interests. Needless to say, all of us have brought together different fields of knowledge such as history, engineering, architecture, anthropology, art, geography, writing, and many more in order to imagine and foster pedagogical innovation and knowledge production. Many of us have masters and PhDs from globally acclaimed national and international universities and have taught and tutored students and have lived and worked abroad for an extended number of years. Joydeep, are you sharing the screen?
You want me to share the screen? I can right now.
Yeah, please do. Thank you. And yeah, and as I was saying that we have been, so we have many of us, we have, needless to say that all of us have, sorry, I just lost myself. Yes. So yeah, many of us have masters and PhDs from globally acclaimed national and international universities, and we have taught and tutored students and have lived and worked abroad for an extended number of years. Out of the currently existing 576 schools of architecture in India, JSA has the highest number of faculties with PhDs, and this indeed is a very, very unique feature. As my colleague Professor Ghosh just told you, that you will be able to design your own curriculum second year onwards, which is a uniqueness of JSA as compared to other schools of architecture in India. What makes this possible is not only the imagination and creative thinking of the faculty, but also the fact that all of us are dedicated to rigorous knowledge production, both in terms of philosophical understanding of the subjects and the skills to make, build, analyze, and research. Each of us have expertise in more than one single field of study, and we mediate and navigate between various interests. A broad cluster of teaching and research interests of our faculty profile is somewhat like this, but not limited to this, of course. So, history and theory, more or less, it's Joydeep, Sarovar, Ishita, and Tom. Urban and community studies is Alokparna, Aditya, Girish, Saurav, and Kriti. Representation is Zai, Taputi, Kilje, and Ishita. Anthropology and social sciences are Sarovar, Joydeep, and Aditya. Engineering is Girish and Kilje. Project and construction management, Abu, Will, and Jasim. Law, policy, and gender is Girish, Zai, and me, myself, Alok Parna. So this is a broad overview of the clusters of our expertise and our interests. But of course, all of us move horizontally between all these or various fields and various knowledge domains. So thank you, Joydeep. We can stop sharing the screen now. So now this advantage of interdisciplinary faculty is not only limited to JSA, but also the fact that you can choose electives from other schools of JGU, such as liberal arts, law, journalism, policy, banking, international affairs, business, and environment and sustainability. Some of our colleagues from the other schools have just spoken to you and have given you an overview of what kind of interests they have and which are the various linkages in which architecture school of architecture students or various programs of schools of architecture students can find their courses interesting. A few examples that I'm just going to give you are what we are, let's say what this semester, what the cross-elective courses all over the university that we are offering. A few examples from that would be, for example, superheroes and their representation, which is being taught in the law school by Professor Yashodhara. Then we have impact investing from Professor Jeremy Wade, and employee engagement by Tanushri Sharma from the School of Business Studies. Social entrepreneurship from Professor Deepak Mon from School of Banking and Finance. Then we have horror cinema and the representation of political anxiety from Professor Kajuri Sen in School of Journalism and Communication, and many others such as courses of visual arts from JSLH, which is the liberal arts school, and culinary fiction, and so many other courses. We have more than 100 courses which are being offered every semester, and not only courses which are in terms of studying particular subjects, but also language courses, such as we have courses in German, we have courses in Spanish, and we have courses in French. So this is what makes us not only a JSA, but of course what also are many of our colleagues like Professor Chatterjee and Professor Ghosh were talking about, is the location of JSA within a university campus of JGU. So that would be all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aloparna. But perhaps what all this that we have told you up until now, perhaps it's best that you hear some of this, not really from us anymore. So we're done with that, but from those who are really at the center of all of this. our students, right? So what I would like to do next is invite some of them to present their experiences of the school and the university at large. So over to you guys. Um, yeah.
So, hello everyone. My name is Astha Khatri and I'm a third year student in JSA. And let me tell you a bit about myself. So, I come from a very small town, Damo in Madhya Pradesh, and I'm sure most of you would be unsure where it is. So, for reference, it's like 2 hour journey from Jabalpur. When I chose architecture as a career option 2 years back, my idea of scope was not more than making a building or maybe joining some construction firm. But after joining JSA and becoming a part of this interdisciplinary system of learning, I realized it's not only about making buildings or plans and sections on paper, but there's a lot more to it. Something I never explored or even thought I would do. For instance, I never thought I would be asking the questions of gender, safety, of public in spaces, the question of legal discourse, management, and for that fact, even the questions of existence and time. And that is because the flexibility we get to choose in our classes and in and around school. Also, with that, I remember after completing my first year, I did an internship in Indore. And maybe on my third or fourth day of my internship, my mentor told me, that your basics are really solid and your drawings are better than what I did in my third year. And we never did things the way you guys are doing. So the transformation is not only about the meaning of architecture in the way we work, but it is something which I see and observe in myself. So there are too many opportunities opening up, and I feel as I have the power to choose what works for me. With that, I find myself determined to study further, maybe a PhD or something, because I just want to learn as much as I can and basically doing things I never thought I would do. To better phrase it, my Zindagi ka nazariya has changed completely, and I really doubt what else can be asked from a school because it transformed not only meaning, learning, but also life and people. And I'm a living proof of that. So it's like developing each day. And I guess there are people who can relate to my story. And if not, maybe Namrita can help you or someone else.
Thank you, Asta. I'm Namrita and I am in my second year. And I would love to tell you a little bit about how, in just 1 year, I have gone from understanding architecture as pretty drawings and fancy buildings to looking at materiality, social hierarchy, safety, and just analyzing gender roles within my own kitchen, which is something that I had never thought I would do. Unlike what I'd imagined, college wasn't just about drafting and model making. Instead, we were writing essays, producing short films, working with wood, documenting taxonomies, and so much more. And not only has this allowed me to kind of break the monotony of every day and keep each class interesting, but it's also allowed me to pick up so many skill sets in such a short amount of time. And it's also because of this that I have personally never bunked a single day in first year because I was always worried that I would miss out on something fun that was happening in class. So I'll give you an example of something that we do. So in our second semester, we had the opportunity to work on a real life project. As these are some pictures from a site visit that we did, and we met with a client. So our site was a couple of kilometers away from campus. So we went and we spoke to the client. We analyzed the site, understood the constraints and the budget that came with it, and then we would go back to the studio, kind of speak to each other, and finally we came up with a proposal to show to the client. And this entire process was so fascinating to me because for the first like 15 years of my education, I was so used to be given, like I was so used to just memorizing information from a textbook and trying to get the highest grade on the test, which is if you guys are in high school, you would know exactly what I mean. But coming here, that's something that is completely transformed. And speaking of high school, if you are in PCM, you would know about physics, and physics was definitely one of my weakest subjects. And so when we were introduced to the structural systems course, I was worried that that would mean going back to all of the equations and derivations and formulae that were very unclear in my head. But one of our assignments, the one that you can see here, was to create a table and benches from scratch. So everything from placing the brick to laying the mortar and physically building it up all on our own was not only is this very challenging and also a very interesting experience, because I don't think a lot of people have the opportunity to do it, but also in the process of doing this, I learned so much more about forces and loads that were acting on the structure that I think no free body diagram or equation has ever taught me. So I would say that having the opportunity to work on site, whether it's outside the studio, and work with my hands within the studio, within the campus, that has really changed the way I have understood what my education means, and it's also allowed me to look at different ideas from multiple lenses. So if you do decide to join, I think you'll have it'll be an absolutely great process, and I'm very excited to see what the next 4 years have in store for me. Thank you.
So hello everyone, my name is Ujjwal Yadav and I'm in my third year studying BARC program. The day when I joined Jindal, I was excited.
Slightly louder.
Okay. I was excited about a lot of things, be it a swimming pool, mess, cricket ground, or the unlimited internet access which Jindal provided to all over the campus. I was excited to start my campus life because I have never ever lived away from my home. So other than the classes, I used to play different sports or maybe hit gym sometimes. The campus provided me a good environment to participate into different co-curricular activities, which helped me get into few tournament leagues. One might utilize their time working or studying the whole day or playing some sports, but I really love the idea of just idly sitting in the ground, looking at the sunset with your friends with a tasty tea from the Sodexo. The JGU campus life has lots to offer, and you'll surely like love things to do there. And also, we are little more privileged than any other JGU student as we have two campus, including the JSA boundaries. I spend most of my time in the JSA building, sitting idly at my desk or sleeping on the grass with my friends in the class breaks or in the digital lab. I would say the campus helps you interact with new people every day in mess, in common room, or at the Amul store, or maybe even in the food court. Even while getting a midnight snack in the vending machines, you might bump into someone and make a friend. Also, one of the best thing you could eat in the campus is aloo tikki cheeseburger. Maybe in few months we'll be back to show you. Be it in the classes or a midnight snack, me and my friends used to roam around the campus in the night after we had dinner, talking about different stuff, classes, anything in the world. It was fun. The campus is a place you can be at home of sorts, whether you want go for snack in between the classes, treat your friends on your birthday, or just read a book and watch pretty sunsets. If you ask me what's Jindal campus for me, I would say it's my second home. So over to you, Taha.
Thanks.
Usual. Hi, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Taha. I'm from Calcutta. So I came into college with a few preconceived notions of how classes would be: long lectures, rows of students, hours by the drafting table. But now into my second year, I can safely say my journey at JSA has been about unlearning those preconceived notions. Traditional lecture classes are not a part of JSA's nomenclature. Even even my theory courses were conducted through roundtable discussions and student-led presentations. Being that shy kid through school, I found myself in the deep end of the pool. But the professors at JSA have seen me go from being a not very confident presenter, to say the least, to someone who floats along without stammering through his slides. But this transition that I underwent in class has translated to my relationship with the professors as well. Our conversations now are not just limited to the curriculum, but range from book and movie recommendations to ideas of identity and nationhood to where the best chole wala and sonipat is. I'll tell you about this one professor. He really just doesn't let us go. I recall one of the many instances where a question that arose in his class was taken beyond class hours and resulted in a 3-hour-long conversation at the university food court. Even the little Diwali celebration that the students put together, they didn't really shy away from shaking a leg with us. The night before the final submission for one of my courses, the professor rang me up to check up not just on the status of my paper, which wasn't really going too well up until then, but also on my sleep schedule. They really, really don't leave us alone, obviously without being too intrusive. If I were to show you my chat history, you'd find me texting them at odd hours of the day with the most obscure statements and questions, which then breaks into a midnight seminar. So in this one year, I've grown to see them not just as my teachers, but rather as mentors who have helped me find my ground after having suffered through my rants. And to folks who now I can proudly call my meme buddies. Thank you.
Thank you, Asta, Namrata, Ujjwal, and Taha. While we as teachers are supposed to be absolutely immune towards praise, but nevertheless, it's sometimes a little nice to hear it. So thank you. Now, if the open house up until now was about the school itself, its curriculum, its ways of teaching, the kind of opportunities we give you, For parents and for you students, coming to the JSA, a very important question becomes, what is life like? What is its campus like? How the hell do I get in? Right? We have the absolute best person to talk about this, Mr. Arjo Majumdar, who is the Dean of Admissions and Outreach. Arjo, over to you.
Thank you so much for this, Jaideep. And for those 83 of you who have managed to stick through 2 hours of an open house, congratulations and thank you for sticking with us so far. My name is Arya Majumdar. I am the Dean of Admissions and Outreach at the OP Jindal Global University. I am a lawyer by training, but I do many other things in the university as well. Now, when Jaideep asked me to speak about campus life, I thought I'd tell you a story instead. A story about you. You wake up in the morning, rudely awoken by your roommate, and you struggle to keep your bed sheet and your covers on because your room that you wake up in is centrally air conditioned. You hurriedly check your phone and you see that you've got 17 unread video messages from various people that you know. And you can go through each one of them as you're brushing your teeth and performing your morning ablutions because of the 15 Mbps internet speed. You realize that you're late for class, so you rush across the 80-acre campus to get to your class on time, unfortunately missing a very delicious breakfast. You finish with your morning classes, and then you head off to the mess when you realize that, oh, I am a hardcore vegetarian. And you realize that the friends that you're with, they are hardcore non-vegetarians. So while you partake a delicious lunch with over 3 different cuisines available for you, Indian, Chinese, and continental, your friends head off to the bistro. The bistro is our very own food court with a number of food outlets, including Subway, Juventus, Punjabi by Nature, Domino's. We're trying to get either McDonald's or KFC on board, but I think that would be a bit of an overload in terms of fast food and, well, junk food in general. You then realize that you've got one more class to attend, not from JSAA, but from another school in the university. Now, these elective courses will start only at 5 p.m. in the evening, so you've got a bit of free time in the afternoon. So you decided to take a nap after lunch, after a sumptuous lunch, and where else to take a nap but at the flagpole arena. The flagpole is where almost everything takes place, from students napping to somebody's playing a guitar, somebody's performing a flash dance. And while you're taking in the sounds and the sights of the flagpole arena, you slowly nod off to sleep until you're woken again by your classmates, who this time drag you off to the elective course that you've enrolled for. Once that's over, you realize you haven't practiced your football skills for a while, so you head on over to one of our 2 football fields and perhaps run into one of the students playing cricket in the field next door. You marvel at the fact that we've got basketball courts, volleyball courts, tennis courts, and even an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So you head over after your football match to cool off in the pool, after which you head off outside campus to hang out with some friends, do things that I should not be talking about and you should not be doing on campus, should not be doing in any case, and then you come back by curfew time, which is 10 p.m. Once you're back, you head on over back to your rooms to finish off your homework perhaps, maybe engage with a bit of light banter with your friends, with your faculty members who, by the way, at 9 o'clock at night are still available, right? So that in a nutshell is life at JGU. There's always something to do. It doesn't matter whether you're interested in music, in theater, in sports. With over 25 student-led societies, there's always something or the other happening on campus. We have sports nights, we have cultural fests. There are 2 of them. The cultural fest, the actual cultural fest called Biswa Mill, takes place every year in October, and we invite universities from all over India. A lot of Delhi University colleges come. Of course, this year, unfortunately, we will not be having Biswa Mill thanks to a global pandemic. And every year in March, we have a sports fest. Now, because we are located in Haryana, sports plays a huge role in what we do. We encourage our students to take up some sports or the other, but even if you're not interested in sports, at least not in performing sports like me, You're welcome to partake in music, dance, theater, performing arts, sculpture, so on and so forth. We also have on campus a special office, a special department known as Student Life and Cultural Engagement, or as I like to call it, SLICE. Now, SLICE brings in a number of events every year, every month. So we've had performers such as the Manganiyar Seduction. We've had performers such as Nasiruddin Shah on campus performing. And there's always something that's coming up every time we take a look at the SLICE schedule. Right. I'm going to keep this part short because I know that we are almost out of time and we've been at this for 2 hours nearly. So if you have any questions regarding, life at JSAAA, academics, you want to ask a question about alumni, about outcomes, careers, feel free to ask them. Jaideep, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm going to hand the mic back to you now.
All right. Thank you so much, Arju. I think that was a very nice snapshot of what happens at the university, actually. So wonderful. Yeah. I would just add that you're getting dragged into many classes simultaneously too at the same time, right? There's just so much happening. And not to mention all the lectures that go on campus. There are like 10 to 12 lectures that go on campus on any particular given days. Sorry, as Arjia said, we've kept you for a really long time, and I've been trying my best to answer many questions as they have been coming up. However, we still have a bit. We have about 5 minutes or so. If there are some specific questions you want to ask, we'd love to answer them. So please feel free. I'm just going to take one question that was there, which I could not answer at the beginning. So do you, and the question was, do you offer scholarships at the JSA? Yes, we do. Actually, we have what are called merit cum means scholarship, which are all over the Jindal Global University. But, the thing is, the scholarship happens after you have gotten admission. And then once the entire cohort is there, we decide to give out scholarships. But the scholarships are competitive scholarships, right? So you have to maintain a certain GPA and a certain academic standard for it to get renewed every year. But yes, there are scholarships and we encourage you to apply for them. All right. Now, there was another question that I saw, which is there, was in terms of, I think that got answered, was about sports. Arja did a great job. There's also, Arja, correct me if I'm wrong, there's also like a sports competition that happens across, and which within JGU, but also across the university with other universities taking part, right? And there's also like a Magnus or something which is there, right? Where teams from different schools get together and different departments, and it's a whole melee. And sometimes we faculty like to get in the middle too. But of course we get kicked out and things like that, right? Now, somebody had asked about how has the pandemic compromised the academic year? One of the things, and this is a very, very important question, let me try to answer that. Now, one of the things that we have done at the JSA is we flipped our semester in a way, and we are doing what's called a blended semester. Now, how does that work? Now, a lot of the seminar classes, what we have done is we've taken them to the first semester, right? And seminar classes in that way is a little easier for us to teach on the online mode. And what we have done with all our hands-on classes is push them into the next semester, right? Which is the spring semester, which will begin, somewhere in the middle or the end of January. The reason for us to do this is so that we don't compromise on any of the things that you have heard up until now, right? Okay, I'm seeing some more questions. Sorry, you're asking about the fee structure and about the hostels. One of the things that, we are also going to do for everyone who is here, please do leave your email or some kind of a way for us to get in touch with you. We're going to send you an entire package of this information for you to get, right? Which will have the fee structure. It'll have all the minors that we talked about. It'll have all the coursework. It'll have all the images, what are the hostel things like, all of that will also be sent to you. There's a lot of that information. If I were to get into that, it would just take a lot of time. for that. Now, so a lot of you are asking questions about the fee structure. That is something, I mean, what I will tell you is that there are three different kinds of fee structure for all the different programs. Like, so the architecture program, I will mention this much, is the 5-year program. The per year fee structure is 4 lakh rupees, right? For the community planning and architectural studies, it's 3.5 lakh rupees a year. And for the interior design program, it's 3 lakh rupees a year. This is without the scholarships. And then there are scholarships, right? And then there are fees for the hostel, which are separate. Okay. Sorry, let me just see. So yeah, please do leave your emails like people are doing so that we can get back to you for some of the other kind of questions. Now, earlier somebody had also asked me, asked a question that in terms of what is the admission process for students who are doing IB curriculum. Now, this is very, very important. You know, this is what we mean that, you know, especially for architecture students, you know, because of the Council of Architecture, IB students cannot do architecture in India, which is really, really unfair. Which is why we have got the second program called Architectural Studies, which is essentially the same coursework. But if you have an IB curriculum, you're most welcome to apply. We have an interview process. We have a scholastic aptitude test that we would like you to take, and then you are admitted into the program. And this program, as I mentioned earlier, actually allows you to go for your Masters of Architecture and for you to go and join offices and all of that. So a lot of you had questions about international exchange. I hope the little section on that answered that. We have a lot of, you know, as Tom mentioned, we had a lot of things planned, but you know, the COVID thing threw a little bit of spanner in the works. So all of that is now at least going on virtually, and hopefully by 2021, when all the travel restrictions will be eased off, we will completely start off on all of that. But you know, Esther did a wonderful job of telling us of the things that are going on still as we speak. We also, some folks had asked about the kind of internships, kind of placements. We gave you a bit of that. You see, what we have done at JSAA, just to elaborate on that a bit, is we've created this amazing database where actually all of these companies that we have tied up with and we are continuously tying up with, they are posting their internships, their placements first to us. That's the reason that we have done this, right? And so the idea becomes that the student who enters the JSA actually has multiple options to choose from. All right, there are quite a few more questions, but I cannot get to that because we are a little out of time. I would please encourage you to send in your questions to Mr. Azad Ali, who's the director of admissions of the JSAA. His email is azad@jgu.edu.in. Thank you all so much for being here. I would just like to end by handing over to our registrar, Professor.
Jaideep, can we just answer this really important question by Arja regarding the safety of the girls student in the campus? Arja, may I request you to please answer this?
Arja, can you request that? Sorry.
Sure. And this is a question that we get from a number of parents and students who are coming in. There are, of course, horror stories about Haryana, about rural Haryana, where we are located. There are horror stories about Delhi, about North India in general. Now, I come from a little known town in East India called Calcutta, right? And I had the same apprehensions when I moved to Delhi about 13 years back. Now, within the campus, and you know, I've served on the disciplinary committee of the university for many years. Within the campus, I can assure you that students are absolutely safe. In fact, there's an ongoing joke between students that there are far too many guards and more cameras than actual students on campus. As a result, our students, especially our female students, are absolutely safe on campus. But however, you should ask one of our students this question as well. Do you feel safe on campus?
Absolutely. Namrata, Astha, you're there. Why don't you answer that question as students of the
There you
JS?
go. If Astha's there, then Astha should answer this question.
Namrata, what about you? Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely safe. Like you're surrounded with guards, bhaiya and didis all around, even in the CAD block or in the JSA block or even in the hostels. So it's like completely safe 24/7, and you can actually hang out till 1 or 2, and it's completely safe during night as well. So yeah.
That's right. However, a point of caution, we are safe on campus, inside the campus, which is 80 acres and it's expansive, right? But the moment we step out, the university unfortunately has no control over what is happening outside of the university, which is why every time you step out of campus, parents are notified. First year students cannot step out of campus without parental consent. And we think it's really, really important to keep our families safe, our students safe, by notifying their parents every time they step out of campus, right? At the same time, we have a robust system where we take care of any issues in terms of discipline, in terms of sexual harassment. Narcotics, psychotropic substances are completely prohibited on campus. We take these things absolutely seriously, right? So if you think you should not be bringing in something on campus, you probably should not be bringing it onto campus because it's very easy to get caught. We do run spot checks on our students. We do run student welfare interventions, which students unfortunately call raids. And a lot of, a lot of students have been, affected by these sort of disciplinary proceedings. So we take our student discipline very, very seriously. We take student safety very, very seriously. Back to you, Jaideep.
Thank you so much, Arjo, for that. The questions are streaming in. Folks, I know, sorry, fault is ours. We went a little over time, but I would encourage you to just mail these and one of us will definitely get back to you. So what I would like to do now is actually hand it to our registrar who's been patiently waiting and, and with us the whole time. This is Professor Sridhar Patnaik to deliver the concluding remarks for this evening. Over to you, Sridhar.
Thank you so much, Jaideep, Thomas, and everyone from the School of Art and Architecture. It's been an engaging evening. In fact, listening to the course structure, the content, and the approaches that the school takes up in terms of its pedagogy and all. Personally speaking, I was inspired a bit and thinking why I never tried taking up architecture during my heydays instead of pursuing law. So that's what the power of the faculty that we have in terms of their intellectual prowess. So they're very committed, and what all had been mentioned, it's just the tip of an iceberg. But for the rest, I would request all the students and parents to take an informed decision to join the program, and you will never repent. And I'm saying this with a sense of responsibility and even consciousness, because at the School of Art and Architecture, as you heard throughout the evening, we do have an enriching academic and social ecosystem that will help each one of you develop all the essential capacities needed to thrive in the field of art and architecture. And most importantly, what this school characterizes is the entire philosophy of the university, because it's not a standalone school, and the school is part of the other 8 schools we have, covering wide varieties of disciplines, all of which they sort of amalgamate into the courses that you pursue. Because when we are talking about art and architecture, you need multiple narratives. It's not just about architecture alone, but it's also the sense of aesthetic design, and even to understand the meaning, the purpose, and even the significance, and even the purposiveness of the designs that you take up. And you will draw all these sort of foundational areas and the knowledge in relation to these areas from other schools as well, as you heard this evening. And that's what makes this particular school a special artifact. So I would reckon that you need to take an informed decision soon and join the program. And in addition to all the sort of disciplinary training that you would receive by being a part of the school, most importantly, you will also develop the critical attributes that are required to be a successful professional and to be a successful individual in the society, because the way the courses are structured, the way the pedagogy is structured, it's going to give you a deep knowledge on the subject. It's going to make you more self-reflective in terms of knowing the subject and in terms of understanding the contours of the subject in relation to the larger social dynamics and the society at large. And what's more, you'll also develop the much needed transferable skills in terms of leadership, teamwork, critical thinking, all of which are needed for you to be successful in whatever you choose to do after your course, be it setting up your own firm or whatever you choose to dream of in becoming, and all of which you're going to attain over here. And the most important point over here, while you will become good at learning the subject, but you will also become good at understanding the plurality of the society and the standards of ethical behavior, because towards the end of day, it's not just your domain knowledge that makes you what you are, but even it is these attributes that will make you sort of thrive in your life ahead. So that's what makes the school special, and that's what makes the university special. So I recommend each one of you joining the program. And I must tell you before I end my remarks that being at the university, that is the OP Jindal Global University, is a transformation bridge which sort of, culminates into what all I had just mentioned. So you need to become a part of the community sooner than later. And I thank you all, each one of you, all the prospective students, and even your parents, your friends and relatives for being a part of this program. And I also thank the leadership of the School of Art and Architecture and the leadership of the Office of Admissions and Outreach and the Information Technology team and everyone for making this evening a possibility. And I hope you will soon become a part of the OP Jindal Global University family. And should you have any questions or any concerns or any clarifications, please do not hesitate to write to us, and we will get back to you immediately in terms of guiding you and mentoring you on all the courses and the programs that are offered at the JSAA and even at the JGU at large. Thank you all very much and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Sridhar. Thank you all so much for being here. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night.